People used to complain about the women's bantamweight division being thin when Ronda was on top, and obviously that's changed. There's been a lot of new champions. What do you think the potential is for this division? Obviously, you're focused on your fight, but what do you think this division could be?
I think a lot of people were wondering when the 135-pound division came in. It flourished. And then there was even a while where it was like, was Ronda ever going to be beatable? Well, now the belt's changed hands 3 times. I mean, that's why when people ask me, well, what do you think about this fight that could happen in a year? And I'm like, well, you know what can happen in a year? That's a lot that can happen in a year. So, I just like to see how things pan out, ride the wave.
I mean, from talking to other female fighters, do you think there's a lot of people that are looking at this division like, hey, I could fight at 145?
Absolutely. And we're going to start to see a lot of 145ers come out. We're going to start to see a lot of them get better because they're going to know that it's obtainable, that they have this opportunity that they could grasp onto. So they're even going to take it more and more seriously. Look how many more girls came into 135-pound division. The top 5 girls are not the same top 5 girls that they were even 2 years ago. They're not. It's all changed. I think 2 years ago people thought, who's going to be the challenge for these girls? They're not even the same top 5 anymore. It's because it keeps growing. And who's to say that's not going to happen in the 145-pound division? People start to see that. They want to go for it.
If they did sign 145-pound women, but you also were getting fights at 135, how feasible is it to go back and forth, let's say in a calendar year, splitting fights between the 2 weight classes?
I think it just depends on the fight. I think it depends on, just one fight at a time. As far as weight, I could do every other one as far as weight is concerned. That's not it. But it would just be, I think it just it turns down to every fight should be treated like it's my last fight because I'm never promised another day, another fight. You never know what can happen. So I really just am focused on this one. I don't really want to think like, I don't want to map out anything in the future because you really can't. This is a very unpredictable sport.
I'm wondering if you take anything from the Ronda Rousey fight insofar as the build-up to it. That's a very different event. It was in Australia. It was a mega event. This one's a little bit less than that, but certainly it's a title fight. So I'm wondering, what were some of the ingredients of success that you can take from that one into this one?
I think the biggest thing there was just not letting the fact that it was the headlining event, the first time UFC was able to be over there, the first time they even let a cage be, in Australia. It was supposed to be headlined by Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit, and we were supposed to fight at a different time, and they made it sooner, and it was halfway across the world, and it's just, there was a lot going into the fight. But I always just look at it as, a fight isn't pretty. It's not perfect, it's not easy. And that's why there's only a select few that actually even do it.
Now that you're that person for this division for the UFC, what's that like for you?
I hope I don't let the time go by and not make the best of it, is what it is. I want to perform when it matters, when the bell rings on Saturday.
You've obviously headlined cards, you've fought for titles before, but what does it mean to you still to see your name on top of the marquee, knowing you're fighting for a championship, especially here in New York?
I try to keep it simple in my mind that this is still another fighter. Let's focus on that. I don't want to look at the billboard and think that it's bigger than myself, and let it get too much of me emotionally. It's still myself and one other person in the octagon, and it doesn't matter if it's headlining or not. It doesn't matter if it's the first fight of the night, last fight of the night. It doesn't matter if it's, it's just her and I, and that's what it comes down to. So I need to make the most of it. I don't want to look at the billboard and think that it's, put it in a perspective that I can't grasp. I want to be able to just keep it real.